What's up, guys? It's your boy Rich here. Let's go take a look at the Nautilus. Nope, not that one. The more affordable Obris Morgan Nautilus. Let's go. And here it is in 41 millimeters, 49.6 from lug to lug, 11.2 millimeters tall, and with a 20 millimeter lug width. And my two favorite things about this case has to be the exaggerated scalped bezel and this oversized crown. The crown is something that we don't usually talk about, but I thought it's really eye-catching to be as large as it is and away from the side of the case as it is. And it is absent of the crown guard, which is consistent with the vintage watches of the eras past where they didn't have the crown guard. So I quite like this look a lot. So right now it looks like it might be in the 1 or 2 position, but it is actually in the 0 position. So if I do, let's spend a little time talking about this crown. So let me undo the crown and I'll pull it out. And you can see how far away it is from the side of the case. But even when it is in the 0 position, it is not obtrusive to our wrist at all. It just doesn't come into contact with it. And if we are someone with larger fingers, we will have easy access to the crown when we are winding it. It's just something that I think is really cool, and it is signed. So let's check out the turn action. Here we go. Very solid and 0 to next to 0 backplate. Just a really well constructed case. So if we spend some time with the dial, it is a black sunburst dial. And the first parts that caught my attention with the dial has to be what looks like 4 lines of text above 6 o'clock. And the very first one, it looks like, to me, it looked like it was a power reserve indicator. And if it was, it would be halfway fully wound. And then underneath it is the reference number and then the water resistance to 200 meters and then where it says anti-magnetic. I think it's very tastefully done and something that stands out, especially that first line where it does look like a power reserve indicator to me. My version has the all-white hands, including the hour, minute, and seconds, but they do have different versions. They have one with orange and in turquoise. For me, I thought the white one pops really nicely against the black sunburst dial. Typically, I like to wait till the end of the review before I reveal the price of the watch, but in Obris Morgan's Nautilus's case, I want to talk about the price off the bat, or pretty much off the bat, because it is a lot of watch that we're getting. So the retail price of the Nautilus is just $379, and I want to talk about everything that we get for that watch, which I think is a really special price, and I would say this exceeds what we like to refer to as a great value watch. So, for $379, we might expect a lot of concessions or a lot of cutting corners by Obris Morgan to meet that price, and we would find that for the most part acceptable, such as having a mineral crystal instead of a sapphire crystal. Not the case here. Here we are getting a sapphire crystal, or maybe an inferior lower end movement that doesn't allow for hacking. Again, not the case here because Obris Morgan Nautilus uses the Miyota 9015 automatic high beat movement with 42 hours of power reserve, and of course it allows for hacking. Or another cutting of the corners we might assume would be on the strap, and we would accept that, thinking that we might just have to find a third-party strap. Again, not the case with the Nautilus. Here we can see how nicely thick this piece of leather is, and I believe it is calfskin. It is a really nice quality leather strap here, and there it is signed on the buckle where it says Nautilus. And a really nice touch that I really like is on the reverse of the strap, because it is lined in rubber, and I'm a really big fan of that because I just think that it extends the life of the leather a lot longer. And since we're in the middle of summer, we will not wear out the leather strap after a month. So earlier I just talked about maybe assuming that the leather strap or whatever strap it comes on is going to not be of very good quality. Again, it is of great quality here, and I wanted to show you the presentation, because if we are assuming that it might just come for $379 in a in a cardboard box, and that might be fine, well, not the case. Again, it comes in this really cool blue plastic, what looks like a briefcase. So let's see what we get inside. I do like this really thickly padded styrofoam here. It reminds me of the soundproof walls of a recording studio. Here we get some movement information, the warranty card, and something that, again, we don't think about is the cleaning cloth. Almost every watch comes with a cleaning cloth, but what they did was put this inside of this envelope right here. Just a really nice touch, the kind of touch that we would expect our toiletry supplies in a 5-star hotel to be, pretty nice. And that's what we're getting with this, something simple like this envelope. Just another thoughtful touch. And then we get the toolbar here to change out our strap. Comes with extra pins. And speaking of straps, is as if that leather strap line in rubber wasn't enough. It actually comes with a pretty cool canvas strap. And I actually like this canvas strap a lot. So let me see how that would look on the Nautilus here. Yeah, I think that I do like this look a lot. I might actually have to switch it out and put it on the canvas strap. One other touch from this presentation that I wanted to show you is the information here where it says movement information, because on the back of it, it shows us what it's been regulated and tested for, which is +8 seconds a day. And that is quite spot on, because my tests has been actually 7.5 seconds to 8 seconds per day, which is quite dependable. So, there are a lot of goodies, a lot of nice touches here that we just would not expect from a watch priced so low, and which is why I wanted to talk about the price early on. Just a lot of value here. And I would say that we often use that term a lot, a great value watch, bang for buck. There are a lot of sayings, but I think that is very applicable here for the Nautilus. The Nautilus does not utilize the quick release strap system where we just remove the pins. Instead, it has drilled lugs, and there is something to be said about drilled lugs. The Nautilus also uses 2 different types of loom. On the dial and on the hands, it uses the BGW9, and on the dimple on the bezel, it is loomed with the C3 Super Luminova. And some people might be worried about their skin having a reaction to bronze, so instead, the Nautilus uses a solid steel case back, so the top of our wrist will not come into contact with the bronze if that's something that we're worried about. I also mentioned that I couldn't find any flaws or any concessions with the Nautilus, but if I have to nitpick and look really deeply, I might point to the solid case back here. Though it is not sterile, it does have this circular pattern here, which kind of reminds me of our fingerprint. But I wouldn't mind if it did have some kind of artwork here. But again, that is not a flaw. That is more of a personal preference. But again, it is not sterile. It does have that circular pattern here. So everything is well thought out and well conceived by Obris Morgan. I think the Nautilus, even though it isn't 41 millimeters in diameter, I think it has to be the smallest looking and wearing 41 millimeter watch that I've seen. It certainly doesn't wear large, but I think Obris Morgan was really clever in the way that they designed this watch. So for those of us who prefer bolder size watches, 41 millimeters is certainly going to fit within that sweet spot. And for those of us with smaller size wrists who don't think we can pull off a 41 millimeter watch, I think we're going to be wrong. And that's because I think Obris Morgan did a really clever job, like I said. And what I mean by that is on the dial, it is a rather small dial. It doesn't take up a lot of real estate. And I think they were able to achieve this look largely in thanks to this bezel. So because it is very well scalloped, every other angle in here is indented. So I think if it was just one round bezel reaching out to the widest point, I think it would just be ridiculously wide. And in that case, this dial would not look right in proportion. So I think they did a clever job with that. And let me show you what I mean if I didn't explain that properly. So here is my Seahome Rover, which is also in 41 millimeters. But next to the 41 millimeter Nautilus, it just looks huge. And you can see the amount of real estate the dial takes up, which is pretty much of a standard normal dial on the Rover versus the Nautilus. So that's what I'm talking about in the creation and design of this overall case. I just think Obris Morgan did a really nice job with that. And I also happen to like that name, Obris Morgan. I think it's just a really classic almost traditional name. It sounds like a brand that's been around for a really long time. So, you know, I also understand that maybe this look of with this bezel may not be for everyone. And if, you know, we're looking for a watch that definitely stands out and is not a watch that looks like every other watch, a watch that is certainly well made. And even if we take the value aside, then I think the Nautilus is a really nice option for us. But of course, we can't ignore the value. So I think the value coupled with just how nicely made and to me how unique this watch is, I think the Obris Morgan Nautilus is going to be a great option for us. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you the next time. Let's go take a look at the Nautilus. The movement is inside an iron. And Obris Morgan has been around for 8 days. 8 years. Not days. Definitely not days. I think it's 7 or 8 years.